在接下来这个单元当中 ，BBC 描述了毛泽东历任的婚姻状况，特别是他和4位妻子之间的关系。另外，对于毛泽东敌视赫鲁雪夫的心态以及大跃进和土改所造成的错误，都有详细的描述和评论。这些受访者认为，毛泽东的行事风格和中国古代帝王没有什么两样。
Behind the official mask of the virtuous communist leader, Chairman Mao enjoyed a private life very much like the Chinese emperors, who, by tradition, had not only an empress, but numerous concubines. By the time he was 40, Mao had married 3 times. First, in an arranged marriage to a woman much older than himself. He soon deserted her. Then he married the daughter of his old teacher. They had 3 children. His third wife was a communist guerrilla fighter. He left her and was then seduced by Jiang Qing, who, to the concern of Mao's party colleagues, became wife number 4.
Well, she had been a movie actress in Shanghai, not a top-flight actress, but a sort of a grade B. Here she was marrying their great leader, the standard bearer of the Chinese Revolution, and she was practically unknown. She was from an unsavory slice of Shanghai society. Her reputation was not terribly good, and Mao became enamored of her and wanted to marry her. And so apparently a deal was made whereby he was allowed to marry her, but on condition that she be completely out of his political life, that she not appear in public as Madame Mao.
But Mao, like all emperors, had a secret life about which the people knew nothing. This is now revealed for the first time by his doctor for 22 years.
因为毛他是个农民出身，在中国农村里根本没有这个娱乐 ，no entertainment 没有。他唯一的 entertainment 在中国农村里就是跟女人睡觉，在中国农村就这样一个，就是中国的传统就这样一个传统。所以我觉着毛受这个传统的影响很大。他最大的娱乐、最大的、最好的 entertainment 就是跟女人，这么搞一搞，这个是他的最大的一个 entertainment。他实际上把女人当成一个玩物，因为他你看他一般都是搞些年纪很轻，没有社会经验，没有多少文化，实际上是一种，用英文讲 playmate。还有他的专车，他坐的那火车是专车，专车上有女的列车员，张一凤就这么来的。张一凤原来是他的专车上的一个女的列车员，我们的那个餐车上的一个 waitress。然后他认识了毛跟他好起来，然后慢慢把他调到从我们餐车调到毛的餐车，毛的餐车调到他的那个卧车做服务员，那么最后变成他的一个 concubine。当然，他这个人有一个特点，每个时期呢，就像他吃菜似的，每个时期喜欢一样菜，在紧吃，等吃腻了以后又会换另外一个菜。对女人也是，那么有一个时期呢，这个女人呢，来得多，来往的多。那么过一段呢，把这个女人丢掉了，又换了一个来。
In 1953, Joseph Stalin, teacher and friend of the Chinese people, died. Three years later, his successor, Nikita Khrushchev, denounced Stalin as a dictator, guilty of crimes worse than the Tsars.
Mao and others recognized Stalin as the greatest leader, their teacher, authority, the highest authority. And suddenly, these attacks of Khrushchev against Stalin, Mao couldn't accept it.
To Mao, Khrushchev was a dangerous revisionist. When he visited Beijing, Mao planned to teach him a lesson.
毛泽东那时候已经对赫鲁晓夫很不高兴。他用什么方式来见赫鲁晓夫呢？是在游泳池，就夏天的那种，因为夏天嘛，他穿着那个游泳裤，然后见了赫鲁晓夫。这是我认为是一个很大的侮辱啊，给赫鲁晓夫，因为他是苏联共产党的这个头。 然后见毛泽东，毛泽东穿着游泳裤去来见他，然后让赫鲁晓夫说：“你也游泳吗？”赫鲁晓夫就换了游泳裤跟他去游泳。
Mao prepared himself to swim, had special clothes, and Khrushchev didn't have special clothes, but he undressed. That was funny. I think Mao didn't want to teach Khrushchev or to humiliate him. No. But we understood that in reality, actually, it was so. Khrushchev was shamed.
Mao was only too aware of the dangers Khrushchev's denunciation of Stalin held for him.
毛泽东呢就很害怕，因为他自己也犯了错误了，他犯了大跃进的错误了，那饿死了几千万人，他就很害怕，将来有人学赫鲁晓夫也来揭露他的错误，那么这个呢成了他的一块心病。
Mao feared he might become a target of Chinese revisionism and that he, like Stalin, would be denounced. So he concocted a plan which would encourage the people to speak out, but would also expose his enemies. He called for 100 flowers to bloom and 100 schools of thought to contend.
毛泽东就是对中国的历史传统研究得很清楚，就是他对于历代君主这个玩弄权术、巩固自己的地位这一套有很高深的这个研究。所以实际上，我认为他的统治术，就是他专心研究的就是统治术，而他统治术里头，我觉得他就是说的很简单化的话，就是阴谋与暴力，就是他的在权力斗争上获得一次又一次的胜利，都是借助于阴谋和暴力。
Mao launched another campaign. He said, "Look, it's very possible we did something bad too, and in order to prevent what's going to happen in China, what's going to happen in Russia, let's ask all those people to speak out if they got anything against us." So he made a call to the people. He says, "Look, in order for us to work even better for you, tell us what's wrong with us. You can say anything."
Criticism of the party poured forth. The government was corrupt, nepotism was widespread, monopoly of power by the Communist Party was unacceptable, and there was even criticism of Chairman Mao, the supreme ruler himself. The critics were mainly intellectuals, particularly teachers and writers. Mao's 100 flowers became a torrent of abuse of the dictatorship he had set up. Mao turned on his critics. They were branded enemies of the people, rightists and reactionaries, and had to be rooted out.
Well, that was a trick. It was a trap to find out who were for him and who were against him. You remember what he said? He said, "Let everything grow together. We'll separate the weeds from the flowers." No, exactly what you had in the gospel. We pull out the weeds and we burn them. In China, they didn't say weeds, it was the poisonous flowers. And of course, a lot of people fell in the trap.
One of those who accepted Mao's challenge to speak out and was then denounced as an enemy of the people was a journalist from Beijing.
也许对我说来最大的印象最深、打击最大的就是中国青年报连续一个多月用大量的篇幅来批评我，有很多是造谣的，很多是这个带有人格侮辱的，比方说我是新闻界的败类。我记得我看到这个词的时候，我是掉了眼泪的。我当时心里觉得受了极大的侮辱。这个当然整个这22年，都处在一种贱民的状态，就是你知道什么人都可以骂你，什么人都可以来欺负你，
They said that Liu Bin is an anti-party, anti-socialist rightist. You must draw a clear line between you and your husband. And you just think the party and the mass, they couldn't be wrong. They asked me to write big character posters to denounce him. And I went home and I tried to write them, but I didn't know how to write them. But Liu Bin came to my help. He said, don't worry about me. You just go on writing what you should do. So he helped me to remember some of the things he had said to me. And he said, you can write this and you can write that. And of course, I myself can remember certain things to write, so I wrote them, copied them on a big piece of paper, and turned it into my leaders, my superiors. And they took it and pasted it out on the wall.
Liu Binyan lost everything. He was sent to live in a cowshed at a hard labor camp for over 20 years. 500,000 critics of the party perished. Mao boasted that he had killed 100 times more intellectuals than the bloodthirsty Emperor Qing 2,000 years before. The emperor was hero and role model to Mao.
Somehow that is what Chinese tradition seems to demand, a single ruler. He was imbued with Chinese history. He knew his history well. He liked to read the old histories and the old romances. And he did have this sense of affinity with the first emperor, and used to boast that he had outplayed him in his brutalities.